what your country says about you. Australia, your entire country is actively trying to kill you, yet your biggest concern is whether the local cafe serves good avocado toast. Fiji, you live in paradise, but you still have to deal with tourists pretending they discovered your beaches. Kiribati, your country is slowly sinking, and the world's solution is to offer you thoughts and prayers. Marshall Islands, your country was basically used as a nuclear testing ground, and now no one visits unless they have a weird fascination with radiation. Micronesia, your country is made up of hundreds of tiny islands, yet somehow people still manage to forget you exist. Nauru, your country used to be rich off phosphate mining, and now you're basically a cautionary tale about why you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. New Zealand, your country is breathtakingly beautiful, but deep down, you know you'll always be Australia's less chaotic little sibling. Paul, your country is an untouched tropical paradise, mainly because no one can actually afford to get there. Papua New Guinea, your country has over 800 languages, and yet somehow everyone still manages to misunderstand each other. Samoa, your country has one of the best rugby teams in the world, but your biggest flex is skipping an entire day when you change time zones. Solomon Islands, your country is stunning, yet all anyone talks about is how you were an important battlefield in World War II. Tonga, your country has a monarchy, loves rugby, and takes Sunday rest so seriously that even the Wi-Fi stops working. Tuvalu, your country is so small that a single traffic jam could shut down the entire economy. Vanuatu, your country is constantly ranked one of the happiest places on earth, probably because no one is stressed about things like traffic lights or taxes. Antigua and Barbuda, your country is basically a giant all-inclusive resort, and you're just trying to live your life while tourists pretend they own the place. Bahamas, you live in a tropical paradise, yet you somehow still have to deal with hurricanes and rich Americans calling your home their vacation spot. Barbados, your country produced Rihanna, and honestly, that's enough to make you better than most places. Belize, you speak English, Spanish, and Creole fluently, but no one seems to know exactly where your country is. Canada, your entire personality is being polite, apologizing for things that aren't your fault, and pretending hockey is a real sport. Costa Rica, you claim to be the happiest country on earth, but that's easy when your entire economy is built on surfing, coffee, and yoga retreats. Cuba, your country has survived everything from embargoes to endless classic car jokes, and yet you still have better healthcare than half of the world. Dominica, your country is literally one giant rainforest, and you take pride in being the Caribbean's best kept secret, even if no one actually asks. Dominican Republic, your country has some of the best beaches in the world, but all anyone talks about is your baseball players in Punta Cana. El Salvador, your country has more gang documentaries than tourist brochures, but at least your pupusas are world class. Grenada, your country is tiny, but at least you have nutmeg exports and a history of confusing the US military. Guatemala, you have breathtaking Mayan ruins, but most people only visit your country when they accidentally end up here instead of Mexico. Haiti, your country has been through every disaster imaginable, and yet your people still dance, laugh, and make the best fried plantains in the world. Honduras, your country is beautiful, but no one visits because they've seen one too many crime documentaries. Jamaica, your entire identity is Bob Marley, track and field, and pretending that you don't get annoyed when tourists ask about weed. Mexico, your country is rich in culture, history, and tacos, yet half the world still thinks you only exist for spring break and tequila. Nicaragua, your country has stunning landscapes, but good luck convincing anyone to visit without explaining that it's not Costa Rica. Or Panama, your country has a canal, and that's literally all anyone talks about. St. Kitts and Nevis, your country is so small that if you take the wrong turn, you might just drive into the ocean. St. Lucia, you have the most dramatic looking mountains in the Caribbean, but most visitors just come for the honeymoon packages. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, your country sounds like the name of an indie band, but at least your beaches are nice. Trinidad and Tobago, your country invented Carnival, which means you automatically win at partying forever. United States, your country is an empire in decline, but at least you have fast food, reality TV, and unlimited confidence to distract you. Argentina, you have the confidence of a European, the emotional range of a telenovela, and an undying belief that this is finally the year you'll fix the economy. Bolivia, you have two capitals, endless natural beauty, and yet the world only remembers you for that one salt flat everyone uses as a screensaver. Brazil, your country is a chaotic mix of football, samba, and beaches, but at least you get to pretend your government scandals are just part of the carnival. Chile, your country is absurdly long, you have every climate possible, and yet no one outside of South America is quite sure where you are on a map. Colombia, your country is finally known for more than just that one Netflix show, but you still have to remind people that Pablo Escobar wasn't your national hero. Ecuador, your country literally straddles the equator, but somehow people are still more interested in the giant turtles on your islands. Guyana, your country is technically in South America, but you spend most of your time convincing people you're not just an extension of the Caribbean. Paraguay, your country is landlocked, your currency is weak, and even Google struggles to find something exciting to say about you. Peru, your entire identity is based on Machu Picchu, llamas, and making sure everyone knows you invented the real pisco sour. Suriname, your country exists in that awkward space where no one is sure whether you belong to South America, the Caribbean, or some Dutch fever dream. Uruguay, your country legalized pretty much everything, has the chillest president ever, and somehow still remains more stable than your neighbors. Venezuela, your country went from being the richest in the region to a real-life survival game, but at least you still have oil. Somewhere. Probably. Albania, your country has more Mercedes per capita than Germany, but no one knows where they came from. Andorra, you exist purely as a place for rich Europeans to dodge taxes and buy cheap cigarettes. Austria, you spend most of your life explaining that you are not Australian and pretending Mozart was more Austrian than Hitler. Belarus, your country is basically Russia's little brother, but with even fewer rights and slightly more potatoes. Belgium, your entire national identity revolves around beer, chocolate, and arguing whether you even have a national identity. Bosnia and Herzegovina, your country is a beautiful mess, with more presidents than a functioning government. Bulgaria, you have ancient history, great beaches, and yet the only thing people know about you is your cheap ski resort. Croatia, you tell everyone that your country is the new Italy, except you actually believe it. Cyprus, your island is so divided that even your GPS gets confused halfway through a trip. Czech Republic, your beer is cheaper than water, which is why no one remembers anything past 10 p.m. Denmark, you pay the highest taxes in the world, but at least you get free healthcare and existential crisis in return. Estonia, your Wi-Fi is faster than your population growth. Finland, your entire personality is sauna's silence and pretending not to be Swedish. France, you believe that everything French is superior, yet somehow your English skills are still inferior. Germany, your country is rich, efficient, and organized, yet you still can't figure out how to finish an airport. Greece, you gave the world democracy and philosophy, but now you mainly give it financial crisis. Hungary, you still think you're in the glory days of your lost empire, and you trust your government just slightly less than your neighbors do. Iceland, your country has more volcanoes than people, and you actually believe elves are real. Ireland, you drink enough Guinness to make the world think you're all alcoholic, but at least you tell great stories while doing it. Italy, your country is breathtakingly beautiful, but your economy is running on espresso and pure denial. Kosovo, half the world doesn't think your country exists, and the other half barely knows where you are. Latvia, your country is cold, your economy is colder, and your people are the coldest of all. Liechtenstein, your entire country is basically a rich guy's backyard with its own anthem. Lithuania, you were once a mighty empire, and now you're just mighty good at leaving your country for better jobs elsewhere. Luxembourg, your country is so wealthy that the biggest struggle for your citizens is deciding which bank account to use. Malta, your country is one giant sunny rock where people drive like they have a death wish. Moldova, your biggest achievement is being the cheapest place to get drunk in Europe. Monaco, your entire economy is built on rich people hiding their money and crashing their Ferraris. Montenegro, your beaches are stunning, but your economy is held together with tourist tips and good vibe. Netherlands, your country is famous for windmills, tulips, and pretending that legal weed makes you morally superior. North Macedonia, you spent years arguing with Greece over your name, and now that you have a new one, no one cares. Norway, your country is beautiful, your people are rich, and yet you still complain about the price of everything. Poland, you somehow exist in a permanent state of paranoia, but to be fair, history has not been kind to you. Portugal, your country discovered half the world, and now you just sit back and enjoy cheap wine while others argue about it. Romania, your country is Dracula, gymnastics, and a government that disappears money faster than a magician. Russia, your country is technically in both Europe and Asia, but you know deep down that only the vodka unites you. San Marino, you've been around longer than most European countries, and yet no one can find you on a map. Serbia, you're still mad about things that happened centuries ago, but at least your Rakija helps you forget. Slovakia, you're basically Czechia's quieter twin, and no, you're still not Slovenia. Slovenia, you're basically Austria's cheaper cousin, and no, you're still not Slovak. Spain, your country runs on siestas, fiestas, and pretending Catalonia isn't about to leave. Sweden, your country is beautiful, progressive, and secretly obsessed with IKEA and death metal. Switzerland, your country is neutral in every war, but extremely aggressive when it comes to bank secrecy and chocolate. Ukraine, your country has been through hell, and yet you somehow still manage to be tougher than everyone. United Kingdom, your entire country is falling apart, but at least you have tea and passive aggression to hold it together. Algeria, your country is massive, but 90% of it is sand, and yet you still somehow manage to get traffic jams. Angola, you're sitting on enough oil wealth to make your country rich, yet your roads still have more potholes than actual pavement. Benin, you live in the birthplace of voodoo, and yet your biggest daily struggle is convincing people you don't use it on your ex. Botswana, your country is one of the most stable in Africa, which means no one talks about you unless they're discussing diamonds or safaris. Burkina Faso, your country means a land of honest people, but honesty won't stop you from getting stuck in yet another coup. Burundi, your country is tiny, but your problems are large, especially when it comes to making the world remember you exist. Cabo Verde. You live on stunning islands that no one can point to on a map, and you've accepted that your biggest export is people. Cameroon, your country has the best footballers, the best food, and the best corruption scandals. True versatility. Central African Republic, you live in the dead center of the continent, but somehow everything still feels off balance. Chad, your country is literally called Chad, but that's the only thing you've ever won. Comoros, you're an island paradise, but your biggest problem is that half your government meetings feel like a game of musical chairs. Democratic Republic of the Congo, your country is insanely rich in resources, yet somehow you always end up broke. Djibouti, your country is tiny, hot, and strategically important, which is why every foreign military loves you more than your own people do. Egypt, you have the pyramids, the Nile, and a 5,000-year-old civilization, yet everyone only asks you about belly dancing and mummies. Equatorial Guinea, your country has oil, yet somehow most people still don't have electricity. True modern magic. Eritrea, you could leave, but if you do, your government might pretend you never existed. Eswatini, Swaziland, your king has more wives than you have functioning hospitals, but at least your country sounds fancy now. Ethiopia, you are the only African country that was never colonized, and you will remind everyone about it forever. Gabon, your country is beautiful, oil-rich, and 90% rainforest, meaning the trees are living better than half your people. Gambia, you are literally just a river with a country attached, and yet somehow tourism keeps you afloat. Ghana, you were the first African country to gain independence, which means you get to act like Africa's wise old uncle at family gatherings. Guinea, you have so many resources, yet your main export is still disappointment. Guinea-Bissau, your government collapses more often than your country's internet connection. Ivory Coast, you make the world's chocolate, yet most of your people can't even afford a Snickers bar. Kenya, your country is known for long-distance runners and even longer election disputes. Lesotho, your country is inside another country, which means you're basically South Africa's unexpected guest that never left. Liberia, your country was founded by freed American slaves, but somehow democracy still feels like an optional feature. Libya, you had free healthcare, free education, and free petrol once, but now you just have free chaos. Madagascar, your island is massive, full of weird animals, and yet the only thing people know about it is a DreamWorks movie. Malawi, your people are the friendliest in Africa, which is great because your economy definitely isn't. Mali, your ancestors built one of the greatest empires in history, and now you're stuck explaining to foreigners that Timbuktu is real. Mauritania, your country is mostly desert, but don't worry, so is your government's ability to solve problems. Mauritius, your biggest problem in life is deciding which 5-star beach resort to visit next. Morocco, you somehow managed to be Arab, African, Mediterranean, and Berber, all while pretending to ignore Spain across the water. Mozambique, you have beautiful beaches, but good luck getting there without hitting a pothole the size of a crater. Namibia, your country is so empty that you could throw a massive party and no one would even hear it. Niger, you have a name that confuses every foreigner, and an economy that confuses even your own people. Nigeria, you have oil, music, movies, and 200 million people who all think they're the main character. Rwanda, you went from tragedy to economic success so fast that even your Wi-Fi speed can't keep up. Sao Tome and Principe, your entire country is a tropical paradise, but no one knows you exist, which is probably for the best. Senegal, you have the best jollof rice in the world, and you will fight anyone who says otherwise. Or Seychelles, your country is a honeymoon destination, which means half your population is tourists who will never visit again. Sierra Leone, your country has diamonds, but somehow you're still broke. Explain that math. Somalia, you have the best coastline in Africa, and yet the only waves people talk about are from pirates. South Africa, your country is a mix of first world luxury and third world problems, with enough drama to fuel an entire Netflix series. South Sudan, you fought for independence and got it, only to immediately start fighting yourselves. Sudan, your country is full of ancient pyramids, but all people ask you about is war and sanctions. Tanzania, you have Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar, and the Serengeti, but your real national treasure is your patience with tourists who mispronounce your country's name. Togo, you're basically Benin's smaller, quieter twin, but at least your football team is good. Tunisia, your country started the Arab Spring, and now you're stuck watching democracy struggle to function in real time. Uganda, your country has incredible wildlife and even wilder politics, both equally unpredictable. Zambia, you have Victoria Falls, and yet your economy is still in free fall. Zimbabwe, your currency once had so many zeros that it looked like a cheat code, but hey, at least you're resilient. Afghanistan, you've mastered the art of resilience, survival, and finding Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere. Armenia, you can name at least 5 Armenian celebrities, and your ability to hold a grudge is truly generational. Azerbaijan, you live in a country where oil flows like water, yet somehow the traffic is still unbeatable. Bahrain, you enjoy pretending you're a financial powerhouse while secretly being Saudi Arabia's weekend getaway spot. Bangladesh, you can navigate floods, political drama, and Dhaka traffic with the same level of patience and suppressed rage. Bhutan, your country's biggest flex is measuring happiness instead of GDP, and honestly, you're just here to vibe. Brunei, you enjoy the finer things in life like free healthcare, free education, and reminding everyone that you're richer than them. Cambodia, you have an impressive tolerance for heat, history, and tuk-tuks that drive like they have a personal vendetta against physics. China, you live in a land where everything is either ancient wisdom or the latest government-approved trend, and you've perfected the art of VPN usage. Cyprus, you spend half your life explaining that you're in Asia, not Europe, and the other half explaining why that still doesn't matter. Georgia, you claim to be the birthplace of wine and civilization, yet no one outside your country can find you on a map. India, you exist in a paradox where your country is both a tech superpower and a place where cows have the right of way on highways. Indonesia, you live on one of 17,000 islands, but somehow still get stuck in Jakarta traffic every day. Iran, you're either passionately discussing poetry and philosophy or casually dodging geopolitical tensions, sometimes both at the same time. Iraq, you have the most historically significant land on earth, but every time you meet a foreigner, they only ask about war. Israel, you live in a country smaller than most cities, but with enough global headlines to make you seem 100 times larger. Japan, you either live in a futuristic cyberpunk society or a rural village where the biggest event is the annual Radish Festival. There is no in between. Jordan, your entire personality is Petra, and the fact that your country is somehow stable in the most chaotic region on earth. Kazakhstan, your country is massive, but everyone still only knows it from Borat, and yes, you're tired of the jokes. Kuwait, you're either incredibly rich or pretending to be, and your summer is just an endurance test against the sun. Kyrgyzstan, you live in a country where mountains outnumber people, and yet no one abroad can ever spell your country's name right. Laos, you live in the most peaceful country in Southeast Asia, and yet half the world forgets you exist. Lebanon, you have a degree in surviving economic crises, political chaos, and making world-class hummus. Malaysia, your biggest dilemma in life is choosing between nasi lemak and roti canai for breakfast. Maldives, you live in a literal paradise, yet climate change has made you an expert in existential dread. Mongolia, you either live a hardcore nomadic lifestyle or in Ulaanbaatar, where winter is just a daily fight against frostbite. Myanmar, you can handle a political crisis like a pro, but you'd really just rather enjoy your tea leaf salad in peace. Nepal, your country has Everest, yet somehow your Wi-Fi connection is still struggling at ground level. North Korea, you technically don't exist on the internet, but if you do, you're probably a government monitor reading this right now. Oman, you have oil, money, and peace, and you enjoy reminding your chaotic neighbors about it. Pakistan, you can survive power outages, inflation, and political drama, but cricket losses still break you. Palestine, your entire existence is a political debate, but you just want to eat makluba in peace. Philippines, your entire country is a never-ending fiesta, and you measure time based on Jose Marichan's Christmas songs. Qatar, you have unlimited wealth, air-conditioned outdoor stadiums, and a suspicious number of foreign workers. Saudi Arabia, you went from desert tents to trillion-dollar skyscrapers in a generation, and yet you still can't sit next to the opposite gender in public transport. Singapore, your biggest problems in life are chewing gum laws and deciding which Michelin-starred street food stall to eat at. South Korea, your country invented K-pop, K-dramas, and the world's fastest internet, yet your biggest export is unrealistic beauty standards. Sri Lanka, your life is a mix of breathtaking beaches, financial meltdowns, and cricket-fueled national unity. Syria, you once had the oldest city in the world. Now, you have the world's darkest sense of humor. Tajikistan, you live in a place so mountainous that even your Wi-Fi struggles to make it over the peaks. Thailand, your country is known for stunning beaches, legendary street food, and questionable decisions by Western tourists. Timor-Leste, you're one of the youngest countries in the world, and you're still wondering why no one visits you. Turkey, you flip between being European and Asian depending on the mood, but your food is always better than both. Turkmenistan, you have the most mysterious country in the world, and you'd like to keep it that way. United Arab Emirates, you either own 5 Lamborghinis or spend your weekends pretending you do in Dubai. Uzbekistan, you have stunning architecture, rich history, and yet most people think you're just another stan. Vietnam, you make some of the best coffee on earth, and yet people still assume you only eat pho.